Hey guys, thought I'll discuss a few things that you could do in the last couple of weeks as far as CAT VRC is concerned. I know some of you have concerns about what to prepare for, what not to do. Should I give mocks? Should I not give mocks? And many other questions. I hope I'll cover at least a few of them. But before I jump into some of the things that you can do in the last couple of weeks, just one small piece of advice. Don't get demotivated, okay? Your score should not really make you decide anything at this point in time. It could be good, it could be bad, it could be low, it could be high. Doesn't matter, okay? At the end of the day, it's just 40 minutes of VR section. We don't know what's going to happen. It could be a good day, it could be a bad day. Doesn't matter, whatever it is. That 40 minutes does not get to define who you are as a person. Please remember that again and again. Keep reminding that. Avoid comparisons as much as possible. Some especially if you're not doing so well, it could easily fall into the trap of comparing how someone else is getting 99%. And then I mean, yeah, in the social media modern day world, it's not easy, obviously. There are so many forums, people talking about the score, sharing their scores openly, and then it's easy to get demotivated. Please don't. We come from different walks of life. We have different capabilities, different talents, different privileges, and uh, you do it at your own pace, and it's not the end of the world. I mean, yeah, give it your best, enjoy the process, okay? Channel your inner Dhoni. Stay calm and keep following the process. Things will fall into place, and there's no fixed deadline saying, okay, I have to get into the top notch college this year. I'm not saying think negatively, but it's important not to weigh yourself down with so much pressure, because you do well when you're not under pressure, okay? It's just stating the obvious, right? It's much easier to do well when your whole world and life doesn't depend on. If that is happening, if you put that much pressure on you, your brain won't be at peak performance or efficiency, okay? Anyways, enough gyan. You guys are smart enough as it is. So is one of the things, most important things I want you to do, okay? Check out any sports person, for example, right? How they train, especially for stamina, okay? Khabib, for example, they swim upstream in a river, or they run uphill, or practice build stamina at high altitudes, because a little more difficult there because of the oxygen and whatnot, not having so much oxygen and whatnot. Do the same thing. It works even for B school entrance exams, right? So do a lot of dense reading, okay? If you do a lot of dense reading, you will obviously be able to handle easier passages, okay? Obviously can't do this all through the day, but at least couple of hours is not such a bad idea. And okay, I've listed out some of the topics for you. You can use these as Google terms, okay? Political theory plus journals. Just randomly just put some words in Google. Science journals, or just go to Scientific American or Science Mag, for example, or just put psychology plus complex theories. Just put this much, see what's coming. Keep adding research, the word keyword research in your search term. You'll get some very difficult articles, right? They'll be very heavy, but when you find them, just plod through them. It's like plodding through something extremely difficult. And that the diversity of those topics is extremely important. If you notice, I've listed out art critiques and law, and read about of music theory, for example, legal theories, for example. Read books which are written in 1920s, 19. The older books are always more difficult to read, isn't it? Contemporary books are not so difficult to read because of watered down the language a little bit in recent times, obviously to suit the target audience. But read older books, okay? Best books on sociology. Google this, and see if there are any free excerpts available on Google Books. Read a few pages. That's all you need. You don't have to read the whole book, right? See what is available for free if you want. There's plenty of resources. Philosophy critiques, public administration theory. Okay, the topics: history, for example, human geography, for example, story of migrations, for example. Use use a little creativity in finding out those Google words. If you can't do that, simple ways, just go to any of the mocks that you've been attempting, right? Take a few keywords from those mocks, search for similar articles, okay? It's as simple as that. You'll get the sources, and then those sources, do dense reading, please, okay? If you're not doing dense, just don't stick to newspapers. Newspapers are not going to help you at all for CAT, especially. And yeah, I'm not saying don't read newspapers. You need general knowledge, obviously. You need it for your some of the B school entrance exams which ask general knowledge questions. You need it for GDPIs in the future, in the essays. All that's fine. Don't read newspapers and think you're preparing for VRC section. It has got nothing to do with VRC. The language is way too simple in newspapers these days, and there are too many editorial mistakes as well. It's not like they proofread well. You can't really trust them the way you could, like, say, I don't know, 15-20 years ago. So stick to the books. Non-fiction, you can read some chapters from non-fiction, heavy non-fiction books. Just Bertrand Russell's, for example, if you kind of story of philosophy, for example, if you want to, because it's heavy, or any of the other non-fiction books of which is pick Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow. It's a little heavy. It's heavy. It'll stretch your brain a little bit. When brain gets stretched, it never returns to its original shape. That's the beauty of the way your head works. So when you read complex stuff, it'll stretch out, and that'll make reading the easiest stuff. Makes the easiest stuff easy to read. It's as simple as that, right? You'll do better. Done. Fewer tests, more analysis. Don't give a mock every single day. I mean, yeah, one per week, two. If you have too many mocks left, maybe you would want to give two high quality mocks. Okay, mocks where you know that you can trust the solutions, you know that you can trust the explanations, you know that you can trust the questions. No point solving hundreds and thousands of questions. It's the analysis that will get you the marks. Okay, go back, check where you got the answers wrong, where do you miss the right answer. See, every wrong question, you're making two mistakes, right? You're making a mistake because you saw something in the wrong answer which was not there, and you didn't see something in the right answer which was there. So always find what these two mistakes are, compare the options as well at all points of time, check out, try to find the difference between the right and the wrong options. And as I've written it here, almost all your mistakes come from just these three things. Okay, you make a mistake because you have either misunderstood a word, you have misunderstood the grammar bit, or you misunderstood critical reasoning. Trace the source of your mistake at all points of time. It's important. Where did my mistake come from? Do this for all the older mocks, all the questions. Spend 15, 20, 25, half an hour sometimes for each question. It's okay. Analyze each passage as much as you want, because it's the analysis that's going to get you, that's going to help you find out what mistakes you usually make. There'll be a pattern to your mistakes. Okay, that you're misreading words, or you're misreading grammar. Okay, or you make too many mistakes when the sentences are longer, or you make too many mistakes when the questions are all critical reasoning questions, or you make too many mistakes when the questions are direct and just misreading something that is very direct. So everybody has this pattern. Find out what your pattern is, okay, and help you in the exam. Instead of giving a lot of questions, avoid low quality questions. Okay, you solve 10 high quality questions any day better than solving 100 low quality questions. So what is the meaning of low quality questions? When you look at the options, you all are smart enough to figure out what's low quality and what's high quality, right? They shouldn't be all over the place, and the solution should explain why the right answer is right and the wrong answer is wrong. Okay, only that will help you with the analysis, right? Practice box reading with complicated sentences. What is box reading? It's not a technique that's discussed often. I don't know why teachers don't discuss it that much. It's going to be very helpful. Simple exercise. Take an Aeon article. Okay, take something that's difficult, which has longer sentences, copy paste it on a Word document, draw a box around one particular sentence. Okay, don't erase the rest of it. What I'm trying to do is just make it bold, or make it, or just draw a blue text box, or something that will help you see this one long sentence as if it's coming outside, literally outside the paper. That's how good readers read. Okay, when I look at some longer sentences, I literally see that sentence popping out, because that's why we are able to focus on the ideas. And you need to do this at a good speed. Why do you need to do that? Because you need to be able to do two things. You need to be able to separate out each sentence and understand it. Each sentence is also bits and pieces, clauses and phrases. You need to break them down. So when you're reading, it's not like words are thrown at you like a water jet. Okay, then your brain won't be able to catch. It's like all over the place, like standing under the rain. Shouldn't be like that. When you're reading, your head handing your brain bricks. Okay, one phrase, one clause, one phrase, one clause, like that. So your brain's taking the bricks and then building the structure. In your head, you have the whole story very clearly done. Okay, you need to be able to do that well. So do practice box reading a little bit. Draw the box and try to visualize the longer sentences. See how the longer sentences connect. It'll help you with conjunctions and connectors as well. They should literally be standing out. It's an exhaustive list. The list is not infinite. Okay, this is about 30-40 conjunctions and connectors, like however, or but, or yet, or some nevertheless, or something in the middle of the sentence, or although, for example, or though, for example. It's a small list. It's not huge. you should be extra reactive to these words, okay? Like how Rahul Dravid used to say, when you're in the zone, you see, the ball like a football. That zone is what even readers achieve. So when you're literally seeing and as a big and, you can see two parts of a bigger sentence. Seeing those two parts helps you, see how the ideas are mingling with each other and reacting with each other. And at the end of the day, what is a long sentence but just mingling of ideas? What is a passage? Just mingling of sentences. So you have to see them as idea blocks, okay? Individual words don't make any sense. Should not be reading individual words. You're just picking up four, five words in one shot, like a phrase or a clause. The entire thing makes sense to you. Just that one word won't make sense to you. That's the art of good reading. Also, avoid reading articles a and the. Don't pronounce them. Also, don't read outside. Because if you're reading outside, it's motor function. When something's moving, obviously it takes more time. Read with your eyes. But to read with your eyes, you need silence here. That's why you have to practice reading in a lot of noisy areas. We used to do something I do even now after all these years is just heavy metal or some loud music, and then try to read. It'll be difficult, but it's like channeling. You're focusing your brain to read something despite the noise. It will really help you, because your exam day, your brain's going to be noisy. All the crowd, how it's going to be this year, but all that crowd and so many people, and then you travel some far off place from your house, some godforsaken corner, I don't know where you will get the center. Then you have to settle down, you have to calm your brain down. But your brain should read at peak optimum level, efficiency level that day, irrespective of the noise, which is why you need to practice a lot of reading. Done. Stay with English. Okay, this is a difficult to follow advice, but it'll help you last 15 days, 20 days, especially. Generally, you should be doing it for over 6 months. But do this, especially for GDPI. It will still help you later when you get the calls or wherever it is, because your fluency of the language matters anyway. Stay with English for a while, because you need to tell your brain to start thinking in English. Then you'll be quicker. Otherwise, what I notice some of you do is you read and then you translate it in your mother tongue here, you form the answer and then translate it back in, to mark the answer. It's not going to work. Try to think in English, your inner dialogue, your inner monologue, depending on how many voices are in your head. That should be generally in English. If it's going to be your professional language anyway, it helps. Because then you'll be that much more fluent in understanding. Okay, one of the things you'll notice in really good readers, even the comma has a sound here. Okay, really good readers will be able to tell you. I don't hear the author's voice, but I know whether the author sounds angry or happy or excited or critical or serious, literally forms like a voice in your head with modulations when you're reading. And how do you get those modulations? Really good readers pick it up from the comma, from the extra adjectives, from the extra adverbs. Okay, what kind of nouns are used, what kind of verbs are used, what kind of drama is there in the sentence, what kind of rhythm is there in the sentences. Okay, what kind of alliteration the authors use. Sometimes they use what kind of metaphorical language the authors use. All these things form a picture in your head. And that picture gets clearer and clearer. It's especially clear for people who've been speaking a lot of English all through their life. They hear the tone here, and it's going to be of great help on the exam day. Okay, so try doing that. Stay in that language. Don't get out of the language. Don't speak your mother tongue and 3 other languages. It's a good thing if you're multilingual. It's a great gift to have to be able to communicate in a lot of different languages, especially in our country. But for the exam, try to marinate in that language, because your brain thinks different when it knows it has to only deal with one language. Don't confuse your brain by giving it, throwing it too many languages all the same time. And the last piece of advice here is a little tricky to follow, but it'll help you. Okay, brain stamina, build it. Reading stamina. Read a 3,000 word article at full steam. Should take you probably 15 minutes or 20 minutes if you're decent reading speed. You could try for 10 minutes. It's awesome. And generally, what's a good reading speed at which you can read understand about 60% of whatever you're reading. That's your classic reading speed. Okay, when you're reading articles, also even when you're reading an RC passage, you don't have to spend more time than that. Read at the pace at which you can understand 60 to 70%, because you can always have to go back and search for the answers anyways. So don't try to overanalyze and write a PhD while reading it for the first time. So take up too much time for reading an RC passage. If it's a 500 word passage, probably should be get done with it in 3 minutes or less. 2 minutes is great. 1.5 minutes is what 99 percenters or more will do generally, but 2 minutes or 2 to 3 minutes is okay. To be able to get a decent grasp of what you're doing. Taking more than 4 minutes for a 500 word passage and taking too much time, especially if you want to get at least 85 percentile or more. So this is the exercise. 3,000 words at full steam. Pick an Aeon article, read it. Okay. Even if you don't understand more than 10 to 20%, it's absolutely cool, because this exercise is not to improve your comprehension. This exercise is like, how parents get kids used or pets used to their friends and family members and relatives. In the beginning, the children don't go, right? And then the parents like, see, this is your uncle, see, this is your, grandmom or whatever it is. You get acclimatized. This is the same thing. You treat your brain like a kid. You acclimatize your brain to this language. Hey, see, this is new interesting words, new subject. This is psychology passage. This is how a difficult economics passage. So you're trying your brain to get your brain comfortable to the language, which is important. The brain gets acclimatized. It functions better. Make your brain familiar to a lot of different subjects, different styles of writing, old and new articles, different contemporary authors, older authors, okay, different types of content, how dense it is, how long the sentences are, the kind of diction. Get your brain familiarized to all of these things, okay? GMAT critical reasoning questions, practice them. I'm a big fan of GMAT critical reasoning questions for the simple reason it helps you think. The skill that you need, especially for CAT, if I give you, and again GMAT as well, but especially for CAT, if I give you two sentences, you should be able to give me the difference between the two sentences, the options basically, right? Invariably, there'll just be one or two words. Everything else is just repetition and different ways of expressing the same thing. There's always that one or two keywords which will be different from one option to the other. So the point is, you are trying to figure out what the difference is. That's how it helps you figure out the right answer, right? So make sure you look at options carefully enough and you can spot what the difference are. So for GMAT, especially in official guides, the explanations are beautiful and the options are beautifully delineated. So it will give you good training as to how to see the difference between options. So once you know that the options are different, you'll be able to search for the information in the passage better, because now you know what exactly are you looking for in the passage. Okay, if you don't know the difference, you're just reading and don't even know what difference. When you know what question to ask from the passage a second time, after you know what is the difference between the options, you'll almost always find the answer in the passage. Instead of you just pick some random answer and then try to confirm it, confirmation bias, you'll get the answer wrong invariably. That's what happens. Some of you narrow it down to two options, keep getting it wrong all the time because confirmation bias. You decided that B is the answer, so you try to go and find confirm B and you'll get evidence which will support your wrong answer. Okay, so try to avoid that. GMAT, that's why critical reasoning questions in GMAT are an excellent way of practicing that. Make sure you practice them from wherever and read the solutions, analyze the solutions. Okay, I hope this is useful for you. These are some of the things you can do for the next 2 weeks. Bring some sense of clarity and calm to your preparation. Okay, if you're not doing well, it's okay. Don't get demotivated. Get disciplined also, depending on your slot. Make sure the slot which you have in CAT, particularly, your brain's thinking of a mock every day around the time. Write a mock every 3-4 days at the time, but even other days, make sure you spend the time reading or solving questions or doing something very productive. Okay, that sleep cycle and all that is extremely important. I mean, I don't need to remind you guys, but take that time slot very seriously for the next 15-20 days, because your brain's going to work like that. And see, it's not going to be a big difference. It's not like if you sleep every day and wake up at like say 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock like me, but your slot is at say 8:30, that day it's not like your brain's not going to wake up. You'll still be able to, but will not be at peak efficiency. So what would generally take you about 38 minutes, you'll end up taking 40 minutes for that. So you lose that 1 or 2 minutes. You all know the importance of 1 or 2 minutes, isn't it? So make sure you do that. But particularly for VARC, dense reading, that's the key. Lot of dense reading. Stay in English. Focus on the structures of the sentences. Okay, if you have to choose between reading and practicing questions, give it to reading. The more you read, the better you get anyways. Solving questions doesn't help if you're not analyzing. Okay, I hope that's useful for you. If you have any other things, questions you want to discuss, you may leave the comments. I'll try my best to address a few of them. Okay, until next time, peace out.